On Facebook Messenger with Jessica Dean, who was at the Chiefs Celebration Parade at Union Station last week when gunfire rang out. An incredible story that I want to get to, Jessica. But first, what do you do for work?
I am a nurse.
Okay.
Right now in my career, I actually am a hospice nurse.
Oh.
Where I found my niche. So,
I've heard so many people who work as hospice caretakers that it's really they love what they do, and I think the ability to be able to help people in their moments like that, I think, is admirable, and I have such great respect for anybody who does it. So thank you for being a hospice nurse.
well, thanks. I appreciate that.
Sure. So at the event, at the parade, you hear this a lot when there's gunfire. People are slow to react because they think the gunshots are fireworks. Were you kind of in that same headspace, or did you know pretty quickly that something was going wrong?
At the moment, felt really conflicted because everybody was, starting to push and shove. And so you feel in your heart, this must be gunshots, and just how close it was.
Mm-hmm.
It did sound like gunshots. I will say in that moment, I did try to kind of announce or yell, just calm down. It was fireworks, but it was more of a, you hear of incidents where people are trampled
Yes.
over and everything else. And it was more of a, in the moment, just trying to calm the situation in our general area a little bit.
Sure. It's a defense mechanism. You don't want to be run over, basically.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
How did you come upon the victim? Like, how quickly, when you from where you started moving and realizing that something was going on to when you came across that victim?
I would say maximum 10 to 15 seconds.
Ooh.
It was, we take 2 steps off of this ledge, we hear the gunfire. You have that initial moment of everybody reacting around you. Everyone was kind of pushing over in one direction. I had grabbed my cousin's hand and decided that was not the direction that we wanted to go. And it was only, I don't know, 6 steps maybe, and going in that other direction. And there was a metal guardrail, and right on the other side of that guardrail is where the victims were laying.
What a blessing for you. I mean, how do you not get hit? I mean, it sounds like you were right in the middle of everything. You must have, after it was all said and done, taken a moment and been like, how did I not get shot?
It is, we talked a lot, like with my family, about that perfect storm of events. We refer to it as divine intervention, I guess, a lot, because there were so many opportunities for me not to even be in Kansas City, moments where we weren't going to go to the rally, deciding to go to the rally. My cousin and I kind of went ahead of the group of the rest of our family to be in that spot that we were at the rally. And to be honest, when I saw who now we believe were likely the shooters, and getting that uneasy feeling, about 30 seconds before that gunfire rang out, I had suggested to my cousin that we go ahead and start headed back.
Yeah.
She decided we should take another couple pictures, which we did, but had we left at that moment, in the direction we would have been going would have been where that gunfire was. And it's just surreal to kind of think about, one, being there at the moment, but also being in a place that we were able to stay safe in the moment.
Well, let's also not belittle the idea that, it was a blessing that God put you in the path of the people who had been shot and put you there in that space at that moment.
Yeah. At first, you do the, why in the world would I be there? But I will say yesterday I was able to reconnect with the sister of the victim that I helped. And we got to talk a little bit, and just kind of hearing from her the, I guess, importance of somebody being there in that moment, not only with him, but with her.
Yep.
It just kind of solidified, okay,
Yep.
God had a plan
Yep.
and
Yep.
knew where we needed to be when, and I have to just trust that
Yep.
and accept that.
My mother-in-law says a lot of times, we are where we are supposed to be. And
Yep.
you were where you were supposed to be. So there you are, performing life-saving measures on this victim. And at any point, did you have a thought about your own safety, or were you so in the moment of relying on your training and your skill set to save this person's life that thoughts about your safety had kind of gone by the wayside?
I think for the most part, it wasn't a thought. The only time where I finally was like, okay, this is potentially could be a really bad situation, even for myself, is when that police officer had stood behind me,
Mm.
and made that comment of, I'm going to stay right here with you in case they come back. And I think for a split second, I have this thought of, they come back, who would come back?
Right.
And then you look around and realize, this isn't just 3 victims.
Yeah.
This is a pretty catastrophic
Sure.
event.
Sure.
But I also, I guess, didn't feel the need to leave at that point. I couldn't leave somebody in that condition, just laying there.
Right. Right.
For myself.
Well,
I couldn't.
I'm glad you reacted the way you did. Was this the scariest thing you'd ever been through?
I can honestly say it is, and I hope that it remains the scariest
Yeah,
thing
yeah,
that
yeah.
I'll ever go through.
Yeah.
You hear about these situations and everything, it happens, unfortunately, more than it ever should.
Mm-hmm.
But it's definitely not something you think that you would ever be
Sure.
part of.
Sure, for sure. Has this changed the way you'll approach being in large crowds?
So far, it has. I hope that that's not a real long-term effect.
Right.
I mean, currently, I am not even able to go into the grocery store. It's just
I can't
not
imagine.
in me.
I can't imagine. Are you going to be able to talk to someone, a professional maybe, to kind of help walk you through it?
Absolutely. My employer has already offered that as a benefit free of charge, and I've made the phone call and set things up. So
I'm proud of you. A lot of people have a stigma about mental health care, and gosh, you need something like that after what you've been through.
Yep, and there's a reason those people are in the world too.
Yep.
If it wasn't a need, then why is it out there?
Yep, exactly. Well, Jessica, God, if I could reach out through the lines of Facebook Messenger and give you a hug, I would, because I can hear it in your voice. My heart hurts for you.
I just really, really want everybody to focus their prayers and well wishes for all of those victims. I mean, the fact that something like that happened, and of course, one casualty is one too many, but knowing that there were so many people affected who now have to live with this, and so many kids, for me to go nearly 40 years without that kind of experience, and knowing that there's kids that have to keep that in their hearts for the remainder of their life is something that just isn't right. It shouldn't be that way.